Art, do you want to be an executive this morning or open? Open.
Here we go.
Okay.
Morning, Council. How are you guys?
Good, good. Kisukiyukiat.
So I came in probably about a month and a half ago, Mark,
Yeah, I believe so. About a month and a half ago.
about the piece of property down at the Tri-Bones. I come and ask for some garbage cans and toilets, and kind of talked with Mark, and he said that there wasn't really any money anyplace. So I'm back here again. Like I says, I don't mind people coming down there and using it and all that, but it's just a big mess down there. I go down there and I fix it up, and they break it all up. And I got some pictures that I want to show you guys just to make sure that you guys know that what I'm really actually talking about.
Okay.
All this kind of I'll just kind of walk through and show you guys.
Okay.
So just to give another background on this too, this is the property up in Elmo. I believe it's at First Street. The tribes had bought this property back, I'd say at least 10 years ago or somewhere in there. It is right up to the lake. It is the dock issue that we had brought into council once before. It does have an arbor, a dock, and an open field right there. The land department does maintain it by just mowing and weed eating. But there is no garbage cans. We do not do the garbage and anything like that. We just do the mowing to keep the grass level down. That's all the land department has been able to do financially wise.
Okay. So this is something that we probably could work with facility and maintenance to make sure we get this property on their list.
I do know that it was brought in about a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, when the dock started to fail.
Yeah.
Land department did go in and remove the north half of the dock because of the safety concern. Recreation and NRD was involved with the discussions on that shoreline ourselves. We did have the discussion with natural resources at the time. Wildland Rec, that is not part of the recreational sites there, but it is a tribal asset of just having lakefront. And the discussion at council at that time was to keep it available for access to the lake for tribal members, to be able to utilize it and enjoy the lake. You've seen the pictures that Art has just walked around to council and showed that the cabinets are being opened and destroyed. There is active drinking on there. We did post signs that it was day use only the stuff that we could potentially do. So
Who's keeping it mowed? Are you keeping it mowed?
Lands are.
Or land is?
Yeah, our guys, our crew goes out about once a week to go and knock down the grass and weed eat it. But that's all we're doing out there.
Yeah, and Art, part you're saying the problem is the garbage. People are just
like
going
I
over there.
says, like I said, I don't mind the kids and people going on and using it, but they just kind of throw their garbage all over the place and tear the place up. And when I go down there and try to talk with them about it, and they get mad at me, so I'm kind of here to ask and council can you give me some kind of authority on this piece of property down here? Some kind of a lease or something so I can have some say? Because, like I says, it's pretty much open game down there. They kind of do what they want.
Yeah.
And when I do call the law enforcement, they're so short staffed, it takes them 3 hours to get down there. And it's just,
Okay, I think the temporary solution now is to have Lisa Shorts come down and we can ask her to put this on her list. So facilities and maintenance continues to pick up the garbage on a daily basis and just things like that. but. I
We
think-
can bring this in for longer, fuller discussion during our land committee on Thursday afternoon.
Let's do that.
At least you can come in and there and maybe whisper, and we can have all the departments that need to be involved with it for recreation lands, facilities, and we can have the further discussion on best potential outcomes on this property.
Yeah, come in with a solution. That we can take action on this for, on Thursday, so. Any other comments on this?
I got, one more thing, Leonard.
Okay, hold on, Martin.
I just think that this is a problem throughout these recreation areas, and if we're gonna do it for this particular place, then we're gonna end up doing it for every one of them. Which I know we don't have the manpower or the funding, so let's be cognizant of that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, if that's the fact, when she just give me a lease and I'll take care of it, and it won't be you guys' problem anymore.
Any other comments? No, we'll have that discussion with the land committee meeting on Thursday.
Okay, there's another thing I wanted to bring up, Leonard, is, the property that, I've been kind of working with George on it, and we're trying to find out and I think you were on this at that one time when the place was bought down there, when the tribe bought that place back down there, and, I've been kind of visiting with George on there. We're trying to find out that, where the money came to bought that piece of property. I thought it was the litigation money, but we had,
Fisheries.
he's kind of finding really nothing on that, any kind of records that where that money came from.
You're talking about the adjoining property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
property.
thought that
blew-
was Lynn Ducharme was involved in that purchase at the time. If I recall, because it was a very spendy property.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we had to use mitigation dollars at the time.
and what I'm just kind of get at is that there is nothing down below me, down on that piece of property that there could never be any buildings built below that. Is that true or not true?
I don't know, I'd have to look further into it. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can get staff. Georgia will be back on Wednesday, and I'll have him, when we come in the land committee, kind of give an update on what he has found out so far. And I'll have the staff right now take another look at it, see if they could come up with any other answers.
okay. Okay, so that'll be the plan. We'll get those two items on the land committee agenda for Thursday. And hopefully we'll have a solution by then.
all right,
Yeah, that'll be towards our end of our agenda under the open discussion part of it. I'll handwrite it in on my agenda sheet, so I
Okay.
won't forget.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, man.
thank you guys. Yeah.
This boulder line unit.
right, I'll call the meeting back to order. Who is next on our agenda, Jennifer?
We got Pat from Forestry.
Pat from Forestry, Pat Amborn.
Yeah,
Pat, are you
Yes.
on?
I'm on. Yes. Good morning, Chairman, members of council. So I am here to request by motion to approve the resolution to advertise the Boulder Line logging unit. I have shared my screen and I'm on page 20 of the agenda pages to show you the map there. Just wanted to give you a quick background on this sale. This is a small cable sale that was part of the plan before the Boulder wildfire of 2021. These units were not impacted by the fire and were improved in the environmental assessment. We didn't include these units in either one of the salvage sanitation cable sales because we were working out details with the allottees because we have an allotment unit on here. The power of attorney sent by the allottees stated they would not accept anything lower than a $20 per ton minimum. So that's relatively high for a cable sale. We don't really see that too much. Due to this stipulation, we separated the sale into two different sorts, one for the tribal units at a rate that's more reasonable, and then one for the allotment. We felt that since the volume in this allotment was so low that we still think that we can get some bidders. There's also a couple more units in here that were going to be in the sale, but we broke them off for a permit to a tribal member who's interested in getting into the line logging game. Once again, you know, the cable logging is a little different. It's on steeper terrain. It involves hand cutting, and then they have a tower and they yard up all the timber. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and then now it should be showing the executive summary. It didn't make it into the agenda notes pages, and that's my fault. I apologize for that.
Pat, I got a question.
Yeah.
I guess since it's such low volume and to go set up a whole line unit for this, and if it's found not to be feasible to do this, what's going to be your plan B?
Well, we feel like, you know, the lower volume is what we're kind of concerned with would be in the allotment since there's only 110 tons. But we think that the rest of the sale, since it's got 2,000 more tons, it's still pretty low, but a lot of the expenses are just people moving in their equipment. And since we have actually three different line log operations in there now, we hope that since they're there, that they're going to go ahead and bid on it. We've already talked to a couple of them and they seem interested. So they're familiar. They know that the volume's a little low, and yeah, realistically, they probably couldn't make it work if they had to move all their equipment in, but we feel pretty good that we're gonna get it sold.
All right, Martin, you have a comment?
Pat, you're just sharing your desktop. You're not actually sharing the document.
Oh, sorry about that. Thanks for letting me know. Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can see the numbers.
Okay, good deal. Thank you for letting me know.
Chair,
Yes, who was that?
Tony.
Oh, Tony, go ahead, Tony.
Hey, good morning, council. Yeah, so to answer a little bit of your question also, Len, is we bumped up a unit right next to it. There's a unit right next to the allotment unit. So part of the unit is allotment, part is not. And so that will help the cost of that allotment also. So they're not moving in just for that one unit, that small volume of that allotment. There's a unit right next door to it to offset a lot of that. So that's how we kind of tackled that one.
All right, thank you. Martin,
Mr. Chair, I would make the motion to approve this, was it to go out to bid, right?
motion to advertise, yes. Motion by Martin, second by Bing. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Opposed, same. Motion carried. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. We'll be back in once the bid happens for approval, acceptance of bid.
All right, sounds good, Tony. Good job, you guys.
Thanks.
All right, moving right along. Let's see, we have any NRD, Katie Finley Squeak Squee, Shion. Good morning, Katie. You're up next.
Morning. Hi.
Good morning.
With AIS, the coordinator, and today I will be, let me see if I can share the screen. Share. All right. So the FWP, they want to do some sampling permits on the reservation to get some more background information on the macroinvertebrates, the quantity that we have and where at, and the water quality of our waters. And they're also doing a statewide crawfish sampling survey. So on page 22 right here on the agenda permit is the collection permit that Jaden Duckworth put in for the state. And on the last page down here, page 26 is a map of all the water sampling sites that they would like to hit on the reservation, if it is okay.
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes, Martin.
I'd make the motion to approve the permits and collection sites.
We have a motion by Martin. Is there a second? A second by Jimmy. Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed, same. Motion carried. Give another comment, Martin.
Yeah, thank you. Katie, just make sure that you thank all of your workers at the boat check stations for doing the very important job of keeping our water safe. They're doing a critical job and they do a great job. And I know they're attending all these meetings. We thankfully set the standard for a lot of these other check stations, and we actually catch what other people don't, and so thank you for you and your staff doing a very professional job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Martin, I appreciate you bringing that up. Those are our true water protectors that we have out there, and they're the ones that are enduring this hot summer heat sitting out there. So if you guys ever get a chance, swing by and maybe drop off some cold drinks to them. I'm sure they would sure appreciate that. Me personally, I think I would like to see numbers from them on what kind of inspections they're doing, you know, so we can truly acknowledge the hard work that they're doing out there, because that is a tough job, especially they have a huge responsibility. And knowing that we have some good people out there, I think it's really important for us to acknowledge them, you know, so want to thank them for their hard work out there.
All right, I appreciate it. And also to let you guys know, we are doing the second annual Watercraft Inspector Appreciation Week. It'll be from August 1st to the 7th.
August 1 to August 7.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Katie. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you guys.
Is there anything else?
No.
Okay.
Man,
All right,
thank you.
Katie, good job.
Appreciate it. Have a nice day.
All right, Indian Preference Office. Our very own Melinda. Good morning, Melinda.
Good morning. So this morning, I'm here, or my stuff starts on page 27. So I am here to get council approval for a project-specific agreement with Montana Department of Transportation for a luminaire replacement project. And this is going to take place on Highway 35. So it's going to go from the intersection of US 93 and Highway 35 in Polson to just north of the Yellow Bay State Park. And they hope to get the work started this summer or early fall and have the work completed by October 15th, 2023.
Any questions? Comments? Or motion? Motion by Mike to approve the PSA between the tribes and MDOT. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Second by Ellie. Thank you, Ellie. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thank you, Melinda. Melinda,
you.
I just wanted to mention to you, you're doing an excellent job, but I think some of the information that I would like to see is some of the projects that have already come to fruition. I would like to see the numbers about how many tribal members were hired from that particular project, how much revenue was brought into the economy, and just, just basic information like that. If you can provide that to us periodically, maybe just once a year after construction season is done. So we know, because I know myself, I've been approached by the tribal members concerned about hiring on these projects. So
Yeah.
if I could get that information, I could show that to them and say, this is what has happened, and this is who was hired, and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
I can do that. Yep.
Thank you. I'd really appreciate that,
Yeah.
Melinda.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then I need to get your signature, so I'll come up.
Okay, bring that on up, and we'll get that signed and get that moving. Our next presentation is Montana State University. All right, next up, MSU. Maddie Griswold. We have Maddie in the audience. Good morning, Maddie. Come on up. All right, good morning, everyone. Okay. Yeah, if we can just come up here to the front here and hit the button on the mic, and you'll be good to go. All right. Well, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, council members.
Sorry about this. Let's hand out the gifts first.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to come again and present our project update to all of you. Today's presentation will include the groups of Montana State University Food Product Development Lab and Native Fish Keepers, People's Food Sovereignty Program, and Montana Institute on Ecosystem. So now Director of Food Sovereignty Program, Patrick Yawaki, is handing out our little gift that comprise of dry meat that People's Food Sovereignty Program made, and also a breakfast nutrition bar called Bonbon Bouillie in French. That means sweet delights. That was developed in our lab in collaboration with the smallholder women farmers in Senegal using their indigenous wildly grown fruit, baobab.
All right.
And we hope you enjoy these little treats. Next, please. Thank you again for welcoming us today. We would like to acknowledge Bitterroot Salish, Pohnpei, and Kootenai people who are the original and continual stewards of these lands. We're grateful for the opportunity to collaborate with you. Next, please. We're here to introduce ourselves, to give you updates on our work, and also most importantly, get feedback, guidance, instructions, and answer your questions. Next, please. My name is Wan Yuan Kuo. I'm an assistant professor at Montana State University in the program of Sustainable Food System. I'm also the director of MSU Food Product Development Lab. Our lab's mission is to develop products that are healthy for both humans and the earth. So we strive to reach out to communities that can give us guidance of how to take care of people and the land. And so therefore I got inspiration, first of all, in 2019 from Native Fish Keepers, the model that they operate. So we would like to continue this work by proposing future project with the Office of Institute of Ecosystem and People's Food Sovereignty Program, which we will give you some more detail of our proposed project today. Myself got my bachelor and master in agricultural chemistry in National Taiwan University. And so I was born in Taiwan, came from Taiwan before I moved to Illinois to start my PhD at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, in the program of food science and human nutrition. Next, please. So this slide gives an overview of our collaboration with different Fly Reservation groups since 2019. Like I mentioned a little earlier, it was learning about the Native Fish Keepers model of capturing invasive species and sell it to support a nonprofit mission that got me inspired, that I think this is something that I want to teach the student. Product development, selling food products is not just for commercial, for profit purpose. It could also be a mean, a tool to take care of the land, the lake, and the people. So we work with Native Fish Keepers that they help us for the student to tour their facility and also have discussion with tribal members in the lake house to eventually develop the smoked lake trout and also the 2 recipes to utilize this smoked lake trout into making fish tacos. Most recently, Brenda Botner of Tribal Health asked to use these recipe and feature those smoked lake trout in the taco in the Tribal Health event to promote healthy fish eating. We are more than happy to share these recipe and potentially continue developing more recipe to promote healthy fish eating. Next, please. In 2021, we had the opportunity to work with Salish Kootenai College and propose together, including People's Food Sovereignty Program, Patrick, in the grant to the Western SARE grant, Western Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Grant, and received $350K. We also received a seed grant from Center for American Indian and Rural Health Equity to start a community advisory board. The grants are helping us to establish work focusing on native food and mental health. Next, please. So with these grants, we started working with Boys and Girls Club. In our last presentation back in March, we presented the bison cracker and then the smiley face for the sensory evaluation. And this work is also under the guidance and support mentorship from Fly Reservation MSU Extension Office. And we have our extension agent, Brenda Ricci, and also Heva Burton on the board. Heva is here with us today. So in March 2021, we started working with People's Food Sovereignty Program and look into what we can assist them in upping their capacity of distributing dry meat. And through working with the Office of Institute on Ecosystem, we discovered that we might be able to dry them, so to store them more in a more stable and versatile way, and then up the quantity that can be distributed. We also, in the last presentation, proposed to work with Tribal Health, and right now it's still in the progress of exploring the needs from the community and then preparing IRB. Next, please. The most recent update, which you will also hear today, is that the Montana Institute on Ecosystem is going to invite tribal nations to join their project of environmental justice and pollution prevention work to assist food and beverage manufacturers in reducing the pollution in the food manufacturing. Next, please. Most importantly, we wanted to be very transparent and share our data management plan. So we as MSU Group will determine what data to be collected with the community, that including the community partners, the community advisory board, and then we present to the council and also, of course, apply for RIB approval. We will share the data with the community collaborators for them, for example, the nutrition of the fish so that they can promote the fish. We plan to publish learning outcomes from those MSU students for the pedagogical education journal. So the data that we acquire that are relevant to cultural intellectual property, that are more relevant to the production parameters will be shared for the community partner to use. But we are planning to publish the student learning outcome. And for reporting purposes, it is how the community benefit, how many people engage in these, how many people receive these meat, how people learn about the garden project, etc. Next, please. Next, I would like to invite Barry Hansen, the biologist of Native Fish Keepers, to talk a bit more about their group update and then how he worked with our intern.
Okay, Jan, thank you. Thank you for this, your presentation this morning. Before we get started again, I think it's really important that we do an introduction of everybody that's involved because the collaboration of our food sovereignty programs is really important. A lot of us are still learning about it. And you may have already introduced yourselves to us before in the past, but we have 1,000 people going through here. So if we could do another, just another short introduction of everybody that's involved here, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Maddie Griswold. I grew up in South Central Idaho, and my background is in environmental studies, community gardens, and collaborative partnership development. And my interest led me to pursue a master's degree at Montana State University in sustainable food systems. And that brought me to the work here and our partnership with Patrick and the People's Food Sovereignty Program and Regina. And yeah, that's me.
Hesquex, Kisukwitnam. I'm Regina Madplume, Kootenai tribal member. I'm the co-chair of People's Food Sovereignty Program. I obtained my bachelor's degree in tribal historic preservation, and it's good to see you all this morning.
Esquets, Kisukwitnam, Neen. My name is Patrick Iwaki. I'm Zuni Pueblo and Anishinaabe. I graduated at SKC in Tribal Administration and Governance in 2019. I presented a food sovereignty plan to CSKT in 2017 and 2019. This is our second year as People's Food Sovereignty Program, or getting into our third year. We've initiated some programs, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. My name is Jenny Grossenbacher. I'm the director of the Montana Pollution Prevention Program at Montana State University. We're working in partnership through our internship program with Native Fisheries and the People's Food Sovereignty Network.
Hi, good morning. My name is Elissa Eichela. I am an intern through the Montana State Pollution Prevention Program, and I've been working with Native Fish Keepers this summer. I'm currently a senior at Bemidji State University in northern Minnesota. And then this summer I've been looking at, after the fish fillet process, what we can do with the waste that comes out of that and trying to find more feasible solutions that can fund the lake trout suppression program.
All right.
I'm Lex Pierre. I'm a food sovereignty warrior and heavily involved.
All right, good.
Buenos días. I'm Ricardo Lopez. I'm a PhD student from the University of Illinois, and I study food process engineering. In the summer, I've been working with People's Food Sovereignty Program on some projects.
All right. I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. As I mentioned before, food sovereignty's initiative has been very important to this council, and we're always looking to look at these, all of your innovative ideas to try to address food sovereignty, because in today's world, you just don't know what's going to happen to our food chain. And, you know, it's people like you that are bringing this to the forefront, and we really appreciate your efforts. So thank you. And with that, we'll move on with Barry. Morning, Barry.
Good morning. Thank you, Tribal Council. I will just give an overview on the project that we did and the purpose of Native Fish Keepers, a tribal corporation that was set up to generate revenue to make our lake trout suppression program more sustainable. As you know, that's a very expensive program that we conduct. And because we can't eliminate lake trout, we have to conduct this program indefinitely. And that makes it very hard to fund such a program indefinitely. Our intention then through Native Fish Keepers is to try to make lake trout pay for themselves. And we've been very successful in marketing the lake trout and returning roughly 20% of the revenue equal to the costs of suppression. We want to go much farther than that, and it's very hard to find additional revenue streams. So what we realize is that there's a tremendous amount of waste in the process of creating these marketable fillets that we do. And how can we commercialize that waste and increase our revenue stream to better make the lake trout suppression program sustainable? So Dr. Kuo contacted us with the potential for a funded intern to look into this problem. And we welcomed that. And her whole program has been very supportive and extremely helpful. Alyssa has been our intern, and she's done a very good job. And we appreciate all that they have done. So she'll describe some of the progress we've made on identifying how we can turn the waste products, which are in biomass terms, roughly 2 to 3 times the quantity of the commercial product that we currently generate. So there's a lot of potential there, and this has been a worthwhile thing to look into further. Okay. So.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for having us today. My name is Elissa Eikela, and this summer I've been an intern with Native Fish Keepers through the Montana State University Pollution Prevention Program. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and I'm currently in my last semester of my undergrad at Bemidji State University in Bemidji, Minnesota. There, I'll obtain my Bachelor's of Science in the Environmental Health and Toxicology and use this as a way to pursue a career in some sort of environmental chemistry and analysis. While in school, my focus has been in natural resource conservation by working with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, along with environmental science and chemistry through my studies, and Indigenous environmental studies, as Bemidji, Minnesota is central between 3 tribal communities, so lots of local knowledge has been provided to me this way. Next slide, please. I was first introduced to this project this spring after applying to the MSU program, because spending a summer outside in Montana working on something I care about is something I wanted to do. Once I got in, I was paired with a business that matched my studies and interests, and so that's how I paired up with Native Fish Keepers. The idea of this research came about as the fishery grew more into a commercialized process with machinery and a set fillet production. Between bringing in fish from the gill nets to filleting the fish, it was estimated that around 50% of the harvested biomass being brought in was being wasted.
as once the fish is filleted, everything else is put into tubs to be dumped back into the lake. So this is where I came in. The core of my project is to research how biomass is actually being wasted while still being usable, and to come up with a feasible product from this component that could then be marketed to offset the lake trout suppression program. After collecting data at the fishery by counting the number of tubs coming in versus the tubs of waste going out, post-filleting, it was more like 80% of the biomass some days was becoming waste. Although each day varies quite a bit due to different net placements and set time lengths, the average amount of waste going out per day is about 1,400 pounds, or a little over 2.5 tons per week. In this sense, waste is everything that isn't a fillet, so fish that are too big or too small for the filleting process, heads, bones, innards, and V-cuts. The next step after I knew how much waste I was actually working with this program was to see what can be done with it. Initially, we were hoping to look into some sort of human snack, extruded fish food, and a biofertilizer, since there's research and contacts in each of these sectors. But after conducting more of my own research and outreach, it was decided to look more into a biofertilizer and fish feed feasibilities. I did some work with Jan Tusick at Mission Mountain Food Enterprise Center to see what human snacks could be made, and the most possible concept we came up with was a fermented fish product. The main issues with this was that a relatively small portion of the waste would be a strong food grade product, and not many people want to eat fermented fish, making marketing and local commercialization an issue. Continuing with the biofertilizer route, this still seems like the strongest possibility for a marketable product. I got in touch with a company called Waster in Norway, who engineered a machine that can take food and beverage industry waste and then convert it into a dried powder that can be used for agriculture. They've done work with aquaculture in Chile and Norway to take fish mortalities and waste from the fish farms to then make it into a nutrient-rich powder that can be applied to soils or livestock feeds. The equipment makes the process energy efficient and time efficient, as the amount of waste produced in a day at native fish keepers could be converted within a couple hours, and all waste could be put through this method. Further research is still needed to determine the nutrient composition of the trout itself to streamline this process, and also what modifications would need to be made at the fishery itself to introduce another piece of equipment. The Waster machine would also cost about $200,000, with about $5,000 additional per year for maintenance. Finally, the fish feed route was explored at the Bozeman Fish Technology Center. About 100 pounds of frozen fish waste was transported to Bozeman to test these feasibilities. This process is very time intensive, and with a smaller batch of whitefish V-cuts, it took about a week to take the waste from frozen pin bones and waste fillets into a rich powder that could be extruded into fish pellets. On top of this, the larger amount of waste I was working with had been in the freezer for over a week and still had not needed more time to be processed. So in terms of efficiency and looking to reduce pollution, the feed production does not seem to be feasible. The next part of my research, next slide, please. The next part of my research that is still underway is a nutritional analysis of the fish fillets to compare sensory values such as color and feel to nutritional content. This would help to inform healthy diet options, along with knowing more of what is coming out of the lake for nutrition. Fillets have been sent to a laboratory to test for the components seen on the slide here on the left, except for color and moisture, which are done at MSU. The table to the right shows the average color values for 36 fillets that were selected and analyzed. Each letter corresponds to color value based on brightness, red, green, and blue, yellow. Once nutritional values are analyzed, I'm hoping to correlate how color can guide what nutrients are available. Along with this, knowing what values are high for nutrition can also be used for marketing purposes for native fish keepers. Thank you.
Well, that was interesting. I always wondered what was happening with the fish waste, you know. I know at one time we were working with some tribal members that were into the compost business that was picking up those waste products at one time. Is that still happening, Barry?
It is. Bob Bell with Kickstarter Composting.
Okay.
We haul quite a lot to him in a large trailer, and that's worked very well, and it's been very helpful to us, but it also is an expense to do that hauling.
Yes, it is.
And if we could convert it to and we don't charge him anything, if we could convert it to a commercial product, then we could increase our revenue and reduce our cost totally.
Well, it's good to know that we're looking at other options or solutions, you know, to try to minimize our costs on that. So thank you for your work on that. We really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Good morning again.
Good morning, Patrick.
Again, my name is Patrick Iwaki. I'm the Food Sovereignty Director for People's Food Sovereignty Program. This is Regina, my wife. Tell your role.
My name is Regina Madplume. Again, I'm the co-chair of the People's Food Sovereignty Program. And I just help oversee all of our projects and do some of the footwork, some of the lifting, whatever is needed out there. So, yep.
So People's Food Sovereignty Program, we are a fiscally sponsored grassroots organization, tribally run. Our mission statement is to implement crucial food sovereignty projects and programs for the tribal community living on the Flathead Reservation, exercising most importantly our self-determination and our sovereignty to decrease cases of food insecurity, preserve cultural resources, and develop indigenous agricultural curriculum for K through 12 and post-secondary education. Next slide, please. Our initial project that we engaged in was during the onset of the COVID pandemic. We worked with a nonprofit out of Missoula who helped us acquire turkeys for the Thanksgiving time period of 2020. And then for the Christmas time period, turkeys and hams and candy for children. In our Thanksgiving distribution, we distributed 70 turkeys, and then Christmas 70 turkeys and 20 hams, and then assortments of candies.
All right.
Next slide, please. Continuing in the winter of 2020, we were able to engage in the then National Bison Range before it was transferred over to CSKT, and received 8 donated elk from their elk calling program. And this was done through a collaboration again with the same Missoula nonprofit, as well as National Bison Range and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Our role in the project was acquiring the elk and transporting it to a processor. That processor would then process the food into frozen roast steaks and burger, which we've been distributing to tribal homes on the reservation since 2020. In our first year, we were able to distribute up to 77 tribal homes and 267 individuals. In our second year, we distributed to over 800 tribal individuals and 180 tribal homes. And this was roughly 2,100 pounds of elk and deer meat. So a little more than a ton.
Yes, good job.
Actually, a little more information. We did receive grant funding to double our capacity. This was just to 5,000 pounds of elk and deer meat. And this will assist us in ensuring that those tribal members or tribal community members that haven't received food from us, that they will have this opportunity this next year. Also, we've started a gardening bed network. We were featured in the Charcusta, as well as just being able to assist the tribal membership in trying to get their hands in the dirt. And we strongly feel that both these programs are moving towards healthier lifestyles and wellness. Our biggest concern is mental health and suicide prevention. And so with these projects, and definitely with our research, we've found that gardening and the process of gardening is huge benefit to people dealing with those mental issues and things like that. Next slide, please. And so in our garden network, we now serve over 81 tribal homes. We distribute the garden bed, the frame, including the dirt, including seedlings. And in our first year, we had funding to be able to distribute tools along with the gardening beds. This year, we did submit a request to the tribe to help us assist in this program. We are looking to partner with the tribe as well as in this program. Next slide, please. And our next one is.
Again, my name is Ricardo Lopez. I come from South Texas and I'm studying a PhD in food process engineering at the University of Illinois. And next slide. So when I first got here, it was late May, and we began working on implementing the garden program. And over this season, we built 35 gardens. And as Patrick mentioned, we delivered wood, built a frame, delivered seedlings, filled with dirt, and basically did everything up until the point of planting it. We did that for 35 homes, and that was how I started this summer. And then if we go to the next slide. This was what I came here to do, was to work with the meat from the meat distribution program and produce a food safe meat drying process. So we took a look at the traditional and the more modern dehydration process. And my goal was to create a process for People's Food Sovereignty Program that was food safe by implementing proper use of sodium nitrate and proper active or water activity levels and processing and temperature times. So we were able to reach both of those, and we now have a process that works, and that is the meat you actually have in front of all of you. Yeah, so this meat being dry, we can take it out of the freezer instead of having it wasting that energy to have it frozen and distributing to people in the winter. We can have it be shelf stable. So there's no need to waste that energy. And also, it being shelf stable, it can be posted in the mail to meat distribution participants. All of that cuts the carbon footprint down immensely. And on top of all this, I developed or designed a solar dehydration process for the People's Food Sovereignty Program to use so that we have a net zero carbon footprint in our dehydration process.
All right.
Hi again, my name is Maddie Griswold, and I grew up in South Central Idaho in the mountains in the Sawtooth Valley. And I am working in sustainable food systems now because I am deeply passionate about building healthier relationships with our landscapes and communities. And it's been a real opportunity to work with the People's Food Sovereignty Program this summer and support some of the work that they're doing. Next slide, please. So I've mainly just been supporting the Garden Network project and helping to expand some of the capacity of the People's Food Sovereignty Program outreach. And that has been through creating instructional videos that program participants can utilize as a resource that are specific to the climate here and the types of plants and seeds that people are receiving through the program. I've also been helping to develop some recipes that incorporate the wild game from the meat distribution program, as well as the types of produce that people might be able to grow in their own home gardens. And some other additional just resources like transplanting guides for what dates to pay attention to when you're trying to plant your garden outside. And next slide, please. So now we'll welcome Jenny up to talk about her work.
All right, good morning, Jenny, and welcome. Can you push the button on mic, please?
Yes, is that better? There we go. The director of the Montana Pollution Prevention Center up at MSU, which I've been with them since 2006. Next slide, please. So the Montana Pollution Prevention Center is dedicated to helping the state's small businesses, local governments, and citizens use progressive and integrated pollution prevention strategies to increase productivity while safeguarding our air, water, land, and other natural resources. The program has been funded 100% by the EPA for the past 30 plus years. Every 2 years, we have to reapply for the grant and focus on the EPA's goals at that time. And at this point, right now, our focal point is pollution prevention in the food and beverage manufacturing and processing industries, as well as environmental justice in underserved communities. Next slide, please. So a lot of times when people ask me what I do and I tell them I'm the director of pollution prevention, they look at me like, well, what does that mean? And just so we're all on the same page, basically, pollution is just the waste or harmful substance that's returned to the environment as a no longer useful byproduct of industrial processes. And as you can see, there are lots of different, there's land pollution, air pollution, water pollution, light, noise, a lot of different things that we look at in our work. Next slide, please. So pollution prevention is basically, if you see the environmental protection hierarchy there, a lot of people, when they think about pollution prevention, they might think of just controlling it by burying it, storing it, but that's not at all what we're talking about. We're not talking about treating it, or even a lot of people, when I say pollution prevention, they think, oh, well, I recycle, that's good. But that's not taking it far enough. That's a good first step. Reusing the waste is another great step in the right direction, but we're talking about stopping the creation of the waste before it even happens. So basically, pollution prevention is just any practice that reduces or eliminates or prevents pollution from its source. And primarily, we look at like gallons of water saved, BTUs of energy conserved, metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions reduced, and hazardous waste reduced. Those are typically the focal points of our grants. So next slide, please. Excuse me. So we have a couple of programs within our Montana Pollution Program. One of them you might have heard of before is our EcoStar Award Program. It's an annual award ceremony where we recognize a couple dozen businesses across the state that have made a difference within their sector by preventing pollution above and beyond regulatory requirements. So if you know of any businesses, we're always looking for nominations. It could be anything from a farmer, a rancher, it could be a restaurant, it could be a jewelry maker or an auto mechanic. But right now, like I mentioned before, we are a little more focused on food and beverage manufacturing, and we're always looking for more businesses. The other program that we're running is the one we've been primarily talking about today, our 10-week paid for credit internship for upper level undergraduate and graduate students. They work with a business, as you've seen, they identify a P2 solution or P2 challenge, and then work and research those solutions for the business. So we had Alyssa with the Native Fish Keepers and Ricardo with the People's Food Sovereignty Program. We appreciate you making those opportunities or allowing those opportunities this summer. Next slide, please. So as Wan Yuan mentioned, we're primarily here today just to discuss future possibilities of working together and answering any questions you may have. We're looking to expand our pollution prevention internship program by partnering with SKC to grow the program and have greater tribal input through First Nations student interns and businesses. And we did just receive word within the last week that we received another grant where we're going to be looking at integrating environmental justice and traditional ecological knowledge into the pollution prevention framework. We've been made aware that pollution prevention, as the EPA sees it, doesn't necessarily fit all the different communities, and it's very numbers based, and they always want to see, as I mentioned, gallons of water saved, BTUs of energy conserved. And it's Although it's a useful program, it's perhaps not a big picture program. And so we have been awarded funds to find a PhD, First Native PhD student to work with SKC and MSU's Native American Studies Department, along with an intertribal advisory committee to help us integrate traditional ecological knowledge into the pollution prevention framework and make it a more a holistic approach that is more valuable to tribal lands. And we'd like to advance considerations of tribal ecological knowledge into the federal decision-making process. So that is the latest program that we'll be starting to work on, and certainly looking for feedback from you as well as any questions you have. I've put my contact information on there if you'd like to contact me later, but we would love to hear any questions or thoughts, concerns, anything that you may have at
All
this
right,
time.
thank you, Jenny. Any questions or comments from the council? Well, Jenny, I want to thank you for your presentation. You probably noticed we live in God's country here,
Yes, you do.
and trying to address pollution, are trying to look at solutions to address pollutions. It got our attention. And with the influx of people that are continuing to move into our reservation, to our valley here, pollution is going to be a problem. We're currently dealing with issues with our own with our own county landfill system that is just I don't want to say growing larger and larger, but they're dealing with more trash than ever, you know. So trying to work with the different entities on how we can look at solutions to deal with these problems is something that we're really interested in. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come and address this, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Great,
So
thank
please
you.
feel free to come in, and as you find more and more information from your studies and everything, please share with us.
Yes, thank you very much for that opportunity. And we very much welcome the opportunity to try and work together to find an approach that works with this community to help, as you said, like even reduce the waste that's going out before it even comes into the system. But I appreciate all of your time, and please feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, and thank you, Jenny. And I also want to thank the folks from the food sovereignty programs. I always appreciate your presentations and the work that you do. Many of it, a lot of it's, or I should say, all of it's all volunteer work that you're doing out there for the people, especially establishing gardens for the individual homes. And so that's really appreciative. Gardening is one of those things that really deals with mental issues out there, you know. And so thank you all, and I'll always look forward to you coming back in the future. Thank you. You guys all have a good day.
Sorry, Jen. Oh, okay. Yes.